segment this week, I will be speaking with the president of the Trade Union Congress, who is also the president of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria. He will be giving us updates on the tripartite committee meeting on the National New Minimum Wage Committee and what's been happening so far. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program, sir.
My pleasure.
Okay, it's nice meeting you. Finally, I have the TUC president on Labor Lens, and we'll be talking about minimum wage and more. As one of the members of the National Minimum Wage Committee set up to review the new national minimum wage that Nigerians are expecting, can you tell us how far you've gone so far?
Well, we've gone very far. We just had another session yesterday and day before, and we listened to some memos, subdivided ourselves into subcommittees, and map out our programs for public hearing at the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. So, and we also again have given Lagos and Abuja a special status, apart from concentrating on the 6 geopolitical zones. All is well, and I think so far so good.
But there's this report going on right now that says that NLC and TUC has actually come out with a new figure comparing it with the previously proposed amount for the proposed new minimum wage. How true is this, and is there any figure in mind that has been presented?
Yeah, it's true. The new figure is 66,500 naira. You are aware that we have submitted a lower figure, but considering the inflationary trend, the devaluation of the naira, and some other market forces that we use as indices, we arrived at this new figure. So our old figure was reviewed to, instead of 56, and now we have 66,500.
How achievable, and what should workers expect?
Well, to us, organized labor is a figure that is achievable, is doable. But again, not until those in governance, particularly at the state and local government level, change their attitudes to governance, to reflect accountability, to reflect the provision of good leadership qualities by way of improving on their internally generated revenue. If we are so dependent on the federal account, more particularly on the oil sector, we will be going nowhere. But if we also want to diversify, just like our founding fathers of this country did at independence, we definitely, it's a figure that is achievable.
Well, some states governors have actually said they are ready to pay even more. What do you have to say about state governments that refuse to pay salaries? There was a press conference that you held not too long ago, whereby you said it's only Lagos state government that is not owing in any form. I would like you to reiterate your position in terms of this development.
Well, yeah, you see, some governments, some governors are doing their best, in spite of the fact that some, particularly the first-timers, have made some challenges in place, and they are trying to address those challenges. But we still implore them to make sure that it's not to use insurgency, Fulani headsmen, and the farmers' clashes or militia conflicts to deny Nigeria workers their salaries. Don't take cover under those guys. What we want is give leadership as you get money from the federation account and as you generate your internally generated revenue, do know that the laborer is entitled to his wage at the end of the month. Just like you pay yourself, you should be able to pay your workers. So, to us, it's achievable. The 66,500 naira is achievable. Those who are not interested in paying are doing that deliberately because they have enough sources of internally generated revenue to dwell on and ensure that they develop such resources to the benefit of their respective states. We mentioned Lagos. Yes, Lagos is doing that. But we know Lagos learned it the bitter way. They learned it only because then President Obasanjo decided to withhold their local government funds. The governor then, who is also now the national leader of APC, said no, he will not allow himself to be subjugated to the whims and caprices of then Obasanjo, and decided to rally his people around and say, look, we have to generate enough revenues internally to make sure that we sustain our state irrespective of what we get from the federation account. So he decided to dwell on that and then went to court. Finally, he succeeded in the two fronts, on both fronts. He succeeded on both fronts. He was able to raise his internally generated revenue because of that challenge. And at the end of the day, the Supreme Court gave him his money. So since then, Lagos never looked back. It's improvement upon improvement. That is what we want other state governments to learn.
Okay, owing to the fact that we know that each state should ensure that they have internally generated revenue sources and actually ensuring that they maximize probably local content from their state. We also spoke about good governance. Talking about good governance and the call for a new Labour Party that will be worker-friendly and will be worker-oriented. I don't know what your take is about this. What do you think can be done to ensure that, okay, we know that to have the good and to have a better standard of living for an average worker, you have to be involved in politics actively to ensure that you know what is right and you implement it. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, at least we have a kind of a test case. We had a pilot, I want to call it a pilot case in Edo State. You bear with me that the comrade that had ruled that state for 8 years has transformed the state, and like we said, that state, watch out for Edo State in the nearest future, because a solid foundation has been laid. And that is why we are encouraging our other members in the labor movements to look. We cannot continue to lament. We should put lamentation behind us and get into the ring and play the politics with them. It is only through that that we'll be able to change the political terrain of this country, because we really need people who are pro-masses. We need people who know the pains of the masses. We need people who respect the rule of law. We need people who know everything about accountability, and not people who are only interested in lining their pockets and those of their families and cronies.
So how do you think that Nigerian workers will actually benefit from this as an individual or as individuals, and what do they need to do to ensure that they are equipped for this journey?
The benefit, like we saw in the case of Edo, is that they had improved workers' welfare. You bear with me that Edo is the only state that is paying 25,000 naira as minimum wage. So we urge our members to go out, collect their PVCs, and make sure that the votes count. That is the only way. And vote for responsible people from the local government to the federal level. Responsible people that will stand to their own yearnings and aspirations.
But looking at the process now, it's not just about getting, it's about getting the PVC, but not just about from the local government to the House of Assembly to actually to the presidency, but also what happens during the process of actually selecting leaders, because I think there should be enlightenment towards this move. And probably, is there any plan that Labour has towards this movement?
I agree with you. That is why we are planning to recover our Labour Party. We are working so hard, and I hope sooner than later we'll recover our Labour Party and make sure that we groom people, we kind of encourage people of very, very sound minds and people that are Labour friendly into the platform to enable them sell our ideas and also implement, when they succeed, implement Labour-friendly policies in this country.
So moving forward, what do you expect? What do you think Nigerian workers should actually expect?
Well, ours is always a luta continua. You can never get anything from an employer on the platter of gold. So the expectation is we are working very hard to secure a national minimum wage for Nigerian workers. We are working very, very hard to make sure our Nigerian workers get a living wage. We are working very hard to ensure that this idea or these challenges of contract staffing, the idea of having the Chinese companies coming to play politics with our lives by way of casualization, by way of not observing our local content laws, where cleaners, drivers, cooks are brought from China and Europe. We don't want those things. So and we hope that our government will enforce the local content law to ensure that Nigerians are fully engaged and fully employed.
Any time frame of achieving the new minimum wage proposed?
Yeah, the tripartite committee has agreed that our jobs will round up within the third quarter of this year. So we hope that government thereafter should be able to give us a new national minimum wage.
And with the deliberations going so far, do you think that is feasible?
Yeah, the way we are going, we're on track, and we hope that for now, we've not derailed. So we commend the representative of the forum of governors that are on board. We commend the federal government, we commend the organized private sector represented by NECA and other organizations like MAN and the Chambers of Commerce that are on the committee for the level of understanding and mutual arrival, mutual respect for the tripartite parties.
Okay, any final word for the average Nigerian worker?
Well, yeah, Nigerian workers, we commend you for your patience. We urge you to keep praying for us, your leaders, and we assure you that before the end of August, a new national minimum wage figure should at least come up, and Nigerian workers should start smiling before the end of the year.
Thank you for joining us on the program. It was nice having you on the show.
My pleasure. Yeah.
And that's all we can take on today's episode of Labour Lens. Join us same time for a fresh edition of the program. I am Sharon Ijason. Thank you for watching, and remember, Labour creates wealth.